Filler, a word that many anime fans have dreaded for a long time due to the fact that it's one of the many things that a lot of people say ruin anime. Often used interchangeably with the phrase non-canon, both refer to the fact that an anime may use these two things to pad timing or stuff that doesn't originate from its original source material, its manga or video games. While something known as filler will always be non-canon, not every non-canon aspect is filler. For example, movies and OVAs are non-canon, but they are not filler due to the fact that they fill a completely different role than what a filler does in actual anime. Filler is used to pad timing for anime that are catching up with its source material. This was happened a lot back in the day when anime were long running. It doesn't really happen much now, thanks to the fact that many anime, or most of them all, are now just seasonal anime. Thanks to this shift to more seasonal anime, filler has mostly been phased out of the anime sphere. Today I want to talk about when filler or non-canon aspects of anime became canon later on in their retrospective series, and I hope you will enjoy this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as it helps the channel out, and let's get on to the first topic of today. The Naruto anime is well known for its large amount of filler, something that many people make fun of, and to this day a lot of people say it's not even worth watching the series over. At first, the anime was adapting the manga at a really okay rate, but that all changed after the Sasuke retrieval arc, where there's over 200 episodes of just filler. It was during this stretch, during an arc known as the Curry of Life arc, where we get to see our first example of filler becoming canon. During this arc, we meet one of the legendary ninja swordsmen known as Raiga, and it's something that adds a lot to the series because we didn't really know much about the legendary ninja swordsmen outside of Zabuza mentioning them. A lot of people call this arc one of the best filler arcs in all of Naruto, and I kind of agree because it adds a lot to the story, giving us more details about the legendary ninja swordsman because up to this point, we had only met Zabuza. The arc insinuates both the ways that filler is often used. It can be used to expand on ideas that the main series never had a chance to, or it can be used just to rehash the same ideas that the series has already done. Raiga and Ranma are very similar to Zabuza as well as Haku, as they both really fit the same mold as they're trying to tell the same similar story, with two characters both liking each other but having to use each other as tools, something that we already seen in the first season of the series. This popularity led to Kishimoto wanting to introduce Raiga into the manga. He wouldn't do it all the way until chapter 668 and a flashback of the old legendary swordsman. This was really cool because we hadn't really seen something like this in Shonen Jump before, and it was really awesome to see a character from the anime finally make it into the manga, and many people really think it's really cool. We didn't really get to learn much about the manga version of Raiga, and because of this, we know for a fact that Ranma probably doesn't exist, but still, it's a really cool fact that he's in the manga, despite the fact that he started off as a filler character. Let's switch over to movies real quick, as the 4 My Hero Academia movies are now canon thanks to chapter 384 in the manga, as all 4 were shown to have characters that appeared in the movies appear in the manga at the same time. This is really interesting as it canonizes a lot of stuff that we didn't know about All Might, specifically in the first movie, Two Heroes, as we find out so much about All Might's backstory, not a lot, but quite a bit thanks to that movie. It also canonizes a lot of fan favorite characters as well. I also think this is really interesting as a lot of people didn't think the My Hero Academia movies were canon, as they thought it was following the old school thought of, oh, let's just make movies just to make movies, instead of making actual canon movies like the New Age movies have done. Another franchise that canonized one of its movies recently, also was the inspiration for this video, was Bleach and its Memories of Nobody's movie. In the narrative of A Thousand Year Blood War, a lot of the stuff from the Memories of Nobody's movie does come up, such as the Valley of Screams, as well as Lost Memories overall, making the series really canonize its movie, a lot of movie that people think is really great, including myself. I think it's probably the best Bleach movie that it has. I really like to see that it's getting representation now that the series is finally trying to continue on the narrative that the manga kind of flopped on. Neither My Hero or Bleach really expand on what is canon from these movies. We just know that certain aspects of the movies are canon, such as characters as well as locations. But hopefully, maybe later on, we can find out what is actually canon if the series decide to touch more on these movies. Since we're talking about the big three anyway, I might as well talk about fandom canon fillers. In One Piece, there's a filler arc known as G8, and a lot of fans of One Piece always say this arc could be canon if they really stretched out what they wanted for the series, as G8's a really good arc. It's like one of the best filler arcs of all time, in my opinion. It expands so much, and it's so fun as a filler arc. A lot of filler arcs try too hard to be canon, while G8 doesn't really try that hard. It just beats itself, and it gets whatever you want out of it. If you really like One Piece, you're gonna really like G8. I think G8 really expands on the characters a bit, giving them more time to spend together, and also building up the character moments within the Straw Hats that really needed some at that point in the story. Also, I feel like a lot of fans try to do, they try to make canon stuff that is not canon fit into the canon that they like the most. Like, a lot of people want to make filler arcs from the OG Naruto fit into the canon if they really like that filler. While others, they just say, oh, it doesn't matter. If I don't like it, I'm not going to put it within the canon. I think that's a really good aspect of why fillers could be interesting in modern day. Like, if we continued this trend, would the fillers of today be much better than the fillers of the past? Now that we know the canon stuff can fit within this stuff. Like especially with series like JJK and Demon Slayer that could have used more time to build up their characters, certain characters that didn't get any time. Like a filler arc about characters that are really underutilized within their series. Now it's about time to talk about the series that does this the most, Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball has canonized so many different characters. It also has a lot of fan canon characters as well, thanks to just how popular the series has been, as well as how long it's been running. And is a filler character that comes at the end of the original Dragon Ball series. The filler she takes place in is really fun as it showcases what Goku and Chi-Chi were doing right after the tournament when they got engaged, as well as what Grandpa Gohan was doing after he died, helping her with the furnace. Another popular fan canon character is Marin, the girl villain, who was the first relationship we actually seen in in, and a lot of people like her for, obvious reasons, but the really biggest problem is she looks like Bulma, but that's another conversation for another day, but a lot of people really like her, and I think she's okay. To argue Bardock, the father of Goku, is also another fan canon character for the longest time, as we did see him in the manga first, but everything that was about him really came from the OVA of the same name, and people really enjoyed that OVA, until now it's not canon anymore thanks to Dragon Ball Minus, but people still think it's canon, and I'm okay with that. I really like that way more than Dragon Ball Minus anyway. Two more Saiyan siblings slash family members were also reintroduced into canon after their original debuts, such as Tarble and Yosun Goku and his friends return, as well as Bra from Dragon Ball GT, both being referenced or debuting within Dragon Ball Super. Then we also have the video game character known as Android 21, also showing up in Dragon Ball Super Superhero, which is a picture. We don't really know much about the canon version of her, but it's really cool to see that she actually does exist within the canon. Let's be real, we're all here because we know the character that we all know is like probably the biggest filler slash non-canon character to ever become canon, Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan. Broly had been a fan favorite character for decades at this point, getting 3 movies as well as getting several references within the original canon, such as Kefla getting her own Dragon Ball's legendary Super Saiyan form known as Berserker, or whatever you want to call it. All the forms are really confusing and super. But yeah, when he finally showed up on the big screen, everyone was hyped, especially with all the changes they made with him. Some people didn't like him, some people really loved him, others were indifferent towards it. But Broly becoming canon was one of the biggest moments in the 2010s of anime. By association, his father also became canon, but do we really care about Paragus? Not really. But anyway, a lot of stuff really did change when Broly became canon, as it really changed what people could expect from the movies going forward. Phil has a really bad connotation around it. I think it's for good reason. There's a lot of anime fans who come to watch anime just want to get to the point where they get to see the cool moments in the series, as well as manga fans that come to watch the anime. They feel like they don't need to see this filler because they want to get to the parts where they want to see their favorite parts of the manga be adapted. As I also think a lot of the time filler can be added to series that don't need filler, such as Tokyo Ghoul that got ruined because they decided to add filler to a 12 episode season that didn't need it if they had just adapted the series how it was supposed to be adapted. I also think other series did need filler to continue as long as they did, like Inuyasha. Inuyasha without filler probably doesn't last as long as it does, as the filler kept the series going, as the plot was really straightforward. I also think a lot of series today could use filler, like I mentioned before, Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen, both that have just finished their mangas recently, and both of them having their animes probably going to wrap up soon, such as Demon Slayer is already on its final arc. And I feel like if you had added some filler to Demon Slayer, you could have kept the anime going. So I think the anime could have expanded on more stuff that the manga didn't. I also think JJK could do the same thing. Give us a filler arc about characters that were underutilized, like I mentioned before. Characters like Maki and maybe Yuta, who aren't really super underutilized, but they could have used more time to be developed. I think filler as a whole should be used again, and I really wish that we got to see better filler from the older series. But I think today could really change that perception of filler if they give us some really good fillers that could also be transitioned into either fan canon or at least actual canon itself. Why don't you comment below your favorite fillers that became canon or your favorite fandom canon fillers that you like? And this has been Metal Man, and I'll see you next time.